Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Elise Reads and Speaks. Today I am bringing you my July wrap-up. This is not my best reading month. I only did 7 books this month, but hey, 2 of them were physical, so I think that is a good tick on my list for me since the Diviners took me like 2 months to finish when that was a physical book. Okay, so let's just kick it right off. The first one I read this month was The Lucky Ones by Anna Godberson. That was the third one in the Bright Young Things trilogy, and I really liked that. I ended up giving it 4 stars. And at first I was like, am I really going to give 4 stars to this, like, kind of series where it's just kind of fluff? But one of the deaths, because you're told in the first book that someone's going to die at the end of it, so I'm not spoiling anything. But the death that did happen, it really did break my heart. And I was like, if I'm this affected by it, is it really a 3-star book? I mean, I really enjoyed it. Maybe it's fluff, but it was a good time of fluff. So I gave that one 4 stars. And then the next one that I moved into was Killing November by Adriana Mather. Now, this one, I enjoyed it, but it was also disappointing at the same time. Okay, the reason it was disappointing was because the setting, like the plot, it was so interesting and it had so much potential, but there were times that I was a little bored during it. So like, this is all about this girl that becomes a strategist, I believe they're called. It was at the beginning of the month, so I don't remember all the terminology in it. Okay, but she goes to the school of, strategia. That was the word, strategia. Okay, she goes to the school for other kids that are strategia. Now, that's exactly what it sounds like. Okay, strategists, all right? They figure out the best way to either kill someone or like get what they want from somebody. It's like spy school, so it's pretty cool, And the premise was that this girl who went to the school didn't know anything about this world. Okay, so she goes to the school with all these other kids that were aware of this school the entire time of, their lives. All right. But this is all new for her. And she's trying to figure out like who betrayed who and her family. And it sounds really cool, right? Okay. Yes, it does. The only thing that I was having a problem with was that sometimes it would lose me. Like it would just go too far into something or not far enough. And I'd just be like, blah, wait, what's happening? Because I was listening to it via audiobook. It really kicked it up a notch at the end. So I ended up giving it 3 stars. And I think it's a series. I think she'll at least make another one of them, so I would go on to read the second one. The first physical book that I read this month was The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. Now, if you remember, her last name starts with A. This is the one time I'm letting myself go back to the beginning of my bookshelf, okay? That's my one. That's it. All right, but it was worth it. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. Now, I have watched the TV show on Hulu, and I really enjoyed it. The only problem that I have with the TV show is that sometimes they're so concerned with getting the most beautiful shot, and then they stay there for like a minute. It's like, dude, I really just want the story to progress. I want to see what happens next. It's nice that it's beautiful, but let's move on. Okay, so at least in the book, the story was progressing because there was nothing to watch, okay? Like I was in the world and it was moving along, which I really enjoyed. If you haven't read the book and you have seen the show, there are some differences. I will tell you there's some differences in deaths that you may want to read the book, and some of them really took me back because, I wasn't expecting it. They're alive in the TV show. All right, but I really enjoyed it. The only thing that I didn't like as much is that the main character, she's not as strong as she is in the show. I think that's on purpose, okay, because the show it's in its 3rd season right now, and this one book is like the 1st season, maybe even part of the 1st season. Okay, so she becomes a much stronger character on the show. So I was kind of expecting that in the book, and it's not the case in the book, so you may want to know that going into it, but it didn't take away from the story. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed it. The next audiobook that I moved on to was 4 Dead Queens by Astrid Schuldt, which is on my bookshelf, which is great because I get to cross one off the list. I really liked this. Okay, there were some qualms that I have with it. Well, why don't I just tell you what it's about first? Okay, it's right there in the title, 4 Dead Queens. Guess what? 4 queens die, okay? And you're trying to figure out how that happened, why it happened, who was behind it. And it's this cool, like, sci-fi-ish world. I didn't realize that was going to happen. They transfer memories on these things called comm chips, and you could take a comm chip, like, and store a certain memory on it. Think of it like the pensieve in Harry Potter world, okay? This comm chip, you can eat it and then get somebody else's memories. Like, if I stored something on my comm chip and I gave it to you, and you're like, delicious, okay, you would see the memory that I stored in that comm chip. I just thought that was really cool. Like, there were a lot of cool little things in this world. My major problem with this story is that I felt like it was so compact. Like, I feel like this was a one-shot that could have really been like an epic 3 or 4 story book. I liked a lot of the things in here, and I wanted more of them, and because it was a one-shot, I felt like it got compressed and that I was losing some of it. One thing I didn't like in the reviews, okay, this is not the book that I didn't like. I didn't like in some of the reviews is that they were saying, don't bury your gays, don't bury your gays. Okay, listen, four queens die, clearly one of them is going to be gay. All right, just based on what I just said. That I just feel like the don't bury your gays has nothing to do with the rest of the story. Like, I just don't want you to read these reviews and have it take away from the story. Like, that has nothing to do with it. I'm sure that maybe I would feel a little differently if I was gay. But, oh, man, like, I wouldn't want them to not make these queens gay because it's such an intricate storyline and it's so good. I wouldn't want them to change that, but I also wouldn't want them to keep them alive because that's not the story. Like, it's not like, two dead queens and two alive queens. Okay, it's four dead queens. They gotta die. They gotta die. All right? And some of them being gay, yeah, okay, that happens. Okay, but like, this book was not just burying gays. I promise. I promise. Just give this one a shot. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I think it was like a 3.5 rounded up because I was really just like, I want more. And I felt like some of the things were rushed because it was that one shot. But I think this is one of those books that I will go back to, later on and read again. And I read the physical books to see the details that I missed because I really enjoyed that one. The next physical book that I read was Opposite of Always by Justin A. Reynolds. Now, this story is about this boy and this girl who fall in insta-love, and it's like magical realism because this girl dies, that's part of the story, and he keeps going back. It's like a Groundhog Day that he keeps having to go back to that time and relive it, and then go back to that time and maybe make another decision and keep going back and back and back and back. All right? So it's like this modern book with this twist of magical realism because, we don't go back in time, okay? Well, maybe you do. I don't. All right. So I like the premise. That's my thing. I like some time travel stuff. I think that's kind of fun. My major problem with this is that these two were in insta-love. Insta-love, okay? Like, I'm not into that, so I found it hard to swallow that this boy and girl meet for a day, build a little bit of a relationship, she dies, and then he has to go back and, somewhat save her. It was like, when you think of these two kids in, like, high school, it took it away from me because I just didn't see the stakes. I didn't understand why he was the one that was chosen to go back. It just, you're bonding over cereal. Okay, they have that like right on the back of the book. They bond over cereal. Whoopee freaking do. Okay, like I did not get the stakes. And I'm going to share a little bit of myself to you, why I would have expected the story to have more of a pull on me. This story is really written for people that may have someone in their lives that passed away and you're responsible for it. Okay, years ago, like 3 years ago, my dad passed away, and it is partially my fault, which really sucks. I'm going to try not to cry. Okay, but this story is written for people like me that kind of wish that you could go back and make a different decision, all right? And this plot line speaks so much to me, and I wanted something from it, and I didn't get that, and I just felt like there could have been so much more to do. And the ending of the story, I'm not going to spoil anything. I will just say that I wasn't a fan of the end of the story because of my own personal experience. The next audiobook that I went on to was How She Died, How I Lived by Mary Crockett. Man, I keep changing those pronouns. I keep saying like how I died, how she lived, which makes no sense. Okay, anyway. It's this story about these 5 girls that were given a text message from this guy that was looking to hang out one night. One of them ended up responding. He ended up killing that one girl. And it follows one of the 5 girls. This is her story afterwards. So you expect some survivor's guilt. Kind of like, she answered the text message and she died. What would have happened if I answered the text message and met him and I died? Like, I really thought it was going to be this story full of survivor's guilt and how you move on from that point. And although I told you about my dad, I don't have survivor's guilt. Like that was nothing to do with something that happened to me, And I didn't get what I wanted from this book. Like, what happened is that you get 2% of survivor's guilt, and then it's just a story about how she wants to date the dead girl's ex-boyfriend. It's like, what? Like, what? I did not sign on to this, and I don't care if you date. It was just, it started off with a bang too. Like, man, that first chapter, I was like, oh my gosh, that was fantastic. I can't wait for the rest of this book. And it just kept going down, down, down. I ended up giving that one 1 star because I thought that it was really falsely advertised. Like, it was just high school drama, and you don't really get anything about the most important part of the book. Like, I don't want to say that I want to hear about people dying all the time, but that was the most important part of the book, and I wanted to hear more about that, to see more about that, maybe even see the killer's point of view. Okay, the ex-boyfriend, how is he feeling? Let's focus on him. And it was just like, ugh. And towards the end, I felt like it became a little preachy with this forgiveness nonsense. I mean, maybe it's not nonsense to you, but like she decided to forgive, and that she gets in a fight with somebody who's like, okay, no, like, why are you forgiving this person? This person did something horrible. And I related to that person because I was like, I understand that forgiveness is good, but it's also totally fine to not forgive somebody who murders somebody else. Like, is it just me? Is it just me that thinks like that? I think that's kind of common sense, but whatever. You know, you do you. I just didn't like that it got a little preachy towards the end. Like, ooh, it just made me angry, so that was probably why I led to 1 star. And then the last audiobook that I listened to was Girl Gone Viral by Arvin Amati, and this was another 1 star. Oh my god, it's so freaking boring. Like, I can't even tell you a lot of what happened in that book. Like, it was so boring. It was so boring. And you have this awesome title, Girl Gone Viral. I mean, it even has a cool cover, okay? Can't judge a book by cover. I know. But still, like, I was excited to go into this. I was expecting, like, some sci-fi. I was getting some, like, war cross vibes from it. So I was so ready. And it was, like, some mystery that really wasn't a mystery. And I didn't care. Like, she was trying to figure out what happened to her dad. And she ends up figuring out what happened to her dad. And even when you find out what happens, it's like, huh? Okay. You know, I didn't care all this way through. How am I going to start caring now? Like, oh, man. And I listened to the entire thing. I did, okay? I did not DNF. I was boring as fuck, man. Like, oh. And I know a lot of people are talking about it and loving it, so maybe it's me. If you've read that one or listened to it, you know, let me know what you think. I really want to know if it's just me, because I thought that was horrible. All right, so like no, not how I died. How she died, how I lived, and Girl Gone Viral, I ended my July with, and they're both 1 star. And I'm usually pretty stingy with the 1 stars. I'll give a lot of 2 stars, you know, if I think it has potentials. But man, those 2 like sucked. All right, so that is it for my July month. 7 books. I think I had 3 4 stars and 2 1 stars. So, you know, it's kind of like it's all right. It's all right. All right, I am hoping for better stuff this month, and I'm still working my way down my bookshelf. Okay, well, that's actually a lie right now. Okay, I did take out one from the library that's about Queen Elizabeth, but it has magic. It's called Elizabeth, Age of Sorcery, I believe. Oh, it's good. We'll see if it continues being good, but, you know, that'll be in my August. I'll let you know. Okay, and then I'll go back to my bookshelf. Oh, man, I'm totally failing at this goal. All right. Anyway, thank you for tuning in to Elise Reads and Speaks. I'll catch you next time, guys. Bye!